All right, well, I've gone through and I've removed all of the clecos except for a couple of them just to hold it in place. The idea is I had to go through and clean off all these holes, which took forever, as you might imagine. And I also went through and deburred the edges. So this is actually feeling pretty rounded right now. The next step then is going to be dimpling. Lots and lots of dimpling about to happen. I'm going to do this panel first at my little dimpling station that I've set up, and then I'm going to do this one. This one is an incredibly long piece of aluminum, so I have to make sure that I have enough support so that it's not flopping all over the place, and I do need to still build that. This is my little temporary dimpling station. I've got a 7-inch high raised platform. That means I'll be able to put this put pieces of metal and aluminum through here exactly at the point at which these two come together. So that'll be awesome. But I need to create an extension out here for that super long piece of metal. The shorter piece will work on here and fit on here just fine. I'll show you that as I do it. I also need to dimple these guys. That's coming here shortly, and I'll go into a little bit of depth of how the DRDT2 works, why it works, what I like about it, and I really can't give good pros and cons about this versus the whack-a-mole one because I don't have one of those, but this one works really well. So that's where I'm at and what I'm going to be doing next. You've seen me do this before, so I'm going to just speed through it, but this is basically me going through and dimpling all of the holes in the J stiffeners. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to begin working on dimpling the skin. I'd already gone through and dimpled the J channel, which is what you just saw, and so now it's time to get to the actual skin. This is the first piece of skin on the wings that I'll be dimpling. I'm going to be using the DRDT2 here, which is a really, really good product, actually put out by Experimental Aero. I like it a lot. I really, though, to be completely fair, I don't have a huge basis of comparison. So there is the other C-frame that you whack it with a mallet, and I just figured over time that would be kind of abusive, and I didn't really want to do it, and I would like a good, consistent dimple each time. And so this came highly recommended, and I would further that recommendation. I think it's a really good product. A little expensive, but in the end, worth it, right? And because it is a good piece of equipment, I believe it's something that I could always sell down the road and probably get most of my money back out of it if I ever decide to get rid of it. I mean, if I make another aluminum plane or aluminum anything, really, this is a good piece of equipment to have. So we're going to start with this skin, and we know that this skin is correctly turned, what side we're correctly doing, because I've already got the countersunk side here already done. And so now I'm going to go through and I'm going to dimple all the rest of the holes in this sucker, and I'm going to show you how I go about doing that. A lot of people wonder how you get a good dimple out of this, and the way I've learned to do it is, so you've got this arm here, and this arm, when it comes down and meets right here, you want to have just a little bit more push. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but if you watch right about here, as I push down, you'll see ever so slightly this kind of lift up a little bit, and that's because we're putting we're putting stress really on this arm here to really get that final push down and to push the dimple into the skin, which is what we want. So the other thing is, by the way, you'll note if I open this all the way, we won't be able to do like this way. So you'll have to kind of move the skin around and flip it around to get everything that you want. That's just the nature of doing skins like this. It's no big deal, really. You'll go real fast after a while. So easy. Not hard. Time consuming is really the big issue with skins like this, because there's thousands of holes sometimes, it seems like, on the skins, and you have to do every single one of them, and it just takes time. So I would say don't rush it. This is one of those things you want to get right, because it is possible to both under dimple and over dimple, and I'm not going to cover that here. I would say look online. I think there's specifically DRDT2 under dimple and over dimple examples. I I think Cleveland might have, or maybe it was Avery. One of the manufacturers, not manufacturers, sorry, one of the resellers put a good video out on it, so it's worth checking out. Anyways, so now I'm gonna dimple the first hole. Just pick a hole, get it in there, and give it a good push. Pull it up, and you'll see. There we go. Now there you'll see there's a little bit of a mark around the hole. That's actually not a big deal. It's very normal. Some people would suggest that you back it off ever so slightly so that doesn't happen. I found, however, if you back it off ever so slightly, what ends up happening is you under-dimple. So your mileage may vary. This is something that maybe the C-frame doesn't do, the whack-a-mole C-frame type thing. I don't know. But yeah, so far I really like it. So I'm going to get in here and continue dimpling over and over again and try to get this entire piece done today.
So at one point I did count between this smaller skin and the bigger skin. There's something like 859 or something like that, some bizarre number of holes that have to be drilled, counter-drilled, sunk, countersunk, etc. And it can really seem like a massive and daunting issue, but it's, you know, it's not too bad. You just have to take your time, and like I said before, the most important thing is to make sure you have your dimpler set up correctly. In this case, it's the DRD2, but I mean, you could have any dimpler. And then test as you go. Every once in a while, you'll see me pull out a little rivet and drop it in and, you know, make sure it fits correctly. And that's good form. It's good practice because, you know, you never know. Maybe somewhere along the way, the dimpler has loosened or something has changed, and you just want to make sure it doesn't change. So every once in a while I go and test, and then take your time. Do not rush this. This is what people will see, right? A lot of the ribs and all the other stuff that's underneath the skin, obviously you want to do a good job there because that's the support, but the people don't see that. So if there is a slight mistake or something like that, it will not be noticeable. Whereas if you botch the skin, well, people are immediately going to see that. So anyways, and like I said, I'm not, I don't want to lessen or imply that you shouldn't do a thorough and good job everywhere. But this is one where people will immediately judge your work based on this. So take your time and do it right.
All right, there's the first piece. I've got it all dimpled up and ready to go. Couple things. So remember I talked about these kind of scratches that are left in the surface of the skin, both from the countersinking, just the countersink tool, and the dimpling tool sort of leaves these little circular marks all over the place. This is nothing to worry about. If you're going to leave the plane bare, then you're going to be buffing the heck out of this anyways, and you're going to use a very, very fine or just extremely high grit, it's not the right word, but you're going to buff those out. If you're going to paint the plane, which I'm certainly going to do, you're going to do far worse to the skin before they paint it. I mean, they almost take Brillo pad to the whole thing. It's a little disheartening actually, but I don't worry about these tiny little marks and blemishes that just happen through the natural fabrication of the product. They're going to go away. You won't even see them. You won't even know they're there. So there's that. Someone else asked me recently when we were talking about the difference between countersinking and dimpling, why not just countersink the whole plane? Reasons? The primary reason that I can think of, and maybe I'm wrong, I mean, could you countersink the entire skin of the aircraft? Yes. I would worry about it weakening the skin, primarily because when you're countersinking, you're removing material, whereas when you're dimpling, you're just pushing that material down. So material's still there. So when you put the rivet in, it still has something to grip onto and hold onto, whereas with countersinking, the material is not there anymore, and so you would almost need another material underneath to keep that consistency of thickness across the part. That's my guess. So could you do it? Yeah, you could probably do anything you want. Should you do it? That's the other question. And I don't have the math or the knowledge or expertise to answer that question. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and do it the way they tell me to do it, dimple everything that should be dimpled and countersink everything that should be countersunk. But so this piece is done. Now it's time to move on to the next one. Tomorrow. Because I'm tired. And I don't want to be out here anymore. I kind of have a stomach ache. Okay. Ugh. Tommy Toms.
I'll see you guys next time.